Hello.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Hello.
I think we're ready to go. Martina, I don't see you on there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, oh, there you are. Okay, we'll just get going here. I'm Carl Moher, Chair of the committee and Deputy Mayor Douro-Dummer. I welcome everyone. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that the meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the Township YouTube website. We will be holding the meeting as though we're in the council chambers, and we follow all our regular politics and procedures of the procedural bylaw. Please raise your hand if you'd like to speak on a matter, and I'll call on you. When I call for the vote, I will call for all in favor, followed by all those opposed. And you will physically raise your hand to vote in the matter you wish to vote. I would also ask that anyone that isn't speaking, that you maybe keep your microphone on mute to save any future interference, if that would be possible. Just raise your hand and I'll call on you, and you'll be able to unmute and go forward. And now I'd like to call the roll. Please raise your hand and state your presence when I call your name. And member Wendy Dunford.
Present.
Oh, Wendy. Ken Jackman.
Present.
Ken. Jim Patterson.
Present.
Okay. And unfortunately, Ed Reed, our member, has resigned, and the township will be looking at finding a replacement for that member in the near future. We also have staff, clerk planning coordinator, Martina Hartwig, and Nicole Zinner will be helping us with the Zoom call. So I think we're all set here now. Throughout the meeting, applications or other agents will be joining us on the meeting, and we'll be able to hear by audio. The clerk planning coordinator will let us know who's on the meeting for each application. With all the committee in attendance, I call the meeting to order. So any disclosure of pecuniary interest before we get started? Okay, seeing none, I would approval of the minutes from February 26th. I assume everyone got them. Ken? And a seconder for that, Wendy. Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you. Then all in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Okay, now we have on our committee of adjustment, we have one application. It's AO321. David and Catherine Orall. And it looks like David and Catherine are on the call, so welcome. And Martina, you could maybe introduce the other players that may be involved with this application. I see
Absolutely.
Scott.
Yeah, so Scott Wooten is here from Kawartha Lakes Construction, Kevin Grubb from Kawartha Lakes Construction, Jenna Ford from Kawartha Lakes Construction, and Christine Watts from Kawartha Lakes Construction.
Okay,
We also have Nathan Liu from Kawartha Lakes Construction. We can't see him, but we'll be able to hear him. And the neighbor, Ian Lord, has joined us as well.
okay, welcome. Okay, Martina, can you take us through the highlights of this application, please?
Absolutely. So this is application AO321. The property is located at 870 Birchview Road in the Douro ward. The roll number is 010-001-06900. The property owners would like to demolish the existing cottage and construct a new dwelling. To permit the dwelling, variances are, actually, before I read this out, I'll say that the applicants and their agent have been speaking to Mr. Lord, and they have changed their application slightly to address Mr. Lord's concerns. So I'm going to read out the new request as opposed to the old request, just to eliminate any concerns.
Sure.
So to permit the dwelling in the proposed location, variances are requested to decrease the rear yard from a setback of 15 meters, 49.2 feet, to 4.9 meters, 16 feet, a variance of 10.1 meters. The request to reduce the side yard has now been removed. We are only looking at the rear yard. We have received formal comments. Curve Lake First Nation states that they did a walkthrough with the team from Kawartha Lakes Construction. They say the property has already been stripped and nothing is natural, so they have no concerns for any cultural artifacts. Otonabee Region Conservation Authority states that the application, that to show consistency with the provincial policy statement, the application needed to address the following sections. Section 3.1 will need to be addressed through a topographical survey, which shows the flood limits. 3.1.1b, the application will need to calculate the erosion hazard limit. The applicants will discuss this with ORCA staff to get the exact hazard limit that ORCA would like them to analyze. And to show consistency with the growth plan, they need to address section 2.4.5b and c, which can be addressed through a planting plan, which has been discussed with the applicants already. The subject property is zoned shoreline residential, and residential uses are permitted within this zone. In this case, the applicant is seeking relief from section 6.1.2b of the township zoning bylaw, which is the rear yard setback. The applicant states the reason for the application for minor variances as follows. The proposal includes demolishing the existing cottage that sits within the 100-foot water yard setback in its entirety and building a new dwelling behind the 100-foot setback. Due to the size and scale of the dwelling, and in order to maintain the 100-foot setback, we are looking for relief from the rear yard setback. Additional plantings and fencing will be located along the roadside, keeping the existing driveway entrance and extending the existing driveway to accommodate additional parking so that it does not interfere with the garage or property line. The application is consistent with the official plan, as the plan allows for infilling and minor expansions to existing buildings so long as the use does not change and there's no further encroachment. The notice was circulated to the management team and no comments were received at the time of writing the report. The lot is described as a seasonal unit property on Clear Lake. Lot features mature trees, a steep slope down to the lake with established mature vegetation along the face of the slope. Exposed limestone is prevalent from crest of the slope to the lake towards the rear of the property, and photos of the property were included in the application package. As stated before, the application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, so long as the applicant follows the direction of ORCA as outlined in their letter dated March 18, 2021. And to be consistent with the growth plan, again, they need to follow those directions from the ORCA letter of March 18. The committee will need to decide in its decision how the application meets or does not meet the 4 tests. The application is or is not minor in nature. The application is or is not desirable and appropriate to the development of the land. The application meets or does not meet the general intent of the official plan. The application meets or does not meet the general intent of the zoning bylaw. Further to that, the committee will also need to pass a resolution regarding the impact, if any, of any comments that have been received regarding the application, and I can provide examples of that later. If the committee does approve this application, the following conditions are recommended: that the variance be for the length of the structure only, that the applicant obtain any necessary permits from ORCA, the Building Department, Trans-Severn Waterways, and any other required ministry or agencies, that proper building plans be submitted with the building permit application based on the design included on the site plan prepared by J.B. Flugel Surveyors, dated March 25th, 2021. I'm just going to screen share that with you. This is the new amended plan. So you can see here, the side yards are now in compliance, and it's just this front section that the request is for. Further to that, we will need verification from an Ontario land surveyor after the structures are framed to confirm that all applicable setback requirements have been met and to ensure compliance with any relief granted by the decision of the committee. That a topographical survey showing the limit of the flood hazard is produced. That a calculation of the erosion hazard limit is produced using the information in the letter from ORCA dated March 18, 2021. That the applicants work with ORCA staff to create a planting plan, and that if any archaeological artifacts are found during construction, that all development shall be halted immediately and the proper agencies be contacted.
Thank you, Martina. David and Catherine, have you any comments before we turn it over to, I assume, Scott?
No comments from us.
No,
Thank you.
we're good. Thank you.
Okay, Scott, are you leading any comments or?
Sure.
Anything?
So the crux of this variance really is that we're being squeezed between the 100-foot setback from the water and the road. And as you saw from the survey earlier, it's really just the point of the garage, the closest corner of the garage. So we've been quite careful and diligent about working with Martina in terms of parking and access onto Birch Tree Road and trying to mitigate any concerns. So this is about as good as we can make it happen. And we were able to manipulate a deck design on the far side to eliminate the concern that Mr. Lord had regarding the side yard setback. So I think we've come up with quite a reasonable solution. There's quite a considerable distance between buildings when you actually see the diagonal nature of the two buildings. And we created a site plan that we discussed with Mr. Lord. So he may have something to say about that, but hopefully this is a good compromise. So.
Okay, does any committee members have any questions?
Carl.
Yes, Jim, go ahead.
I was confused about the word. Excuse me. First time I've spoken this morning. I was confused about the word stripped in the Curve Lake report. And when I did the site visit, I saw a lot of trees with red tags around them. Are the trees coming down, or are the trees marked to be retained?
Yeah, I don't know that stripped is our word. I think that word came from First Nation. I think that's right out of their report. I think what they were meaning is there has been redevelopment. Now, my understanding is there was a cottage on this property that burnt down many years ago. And when that happened, they did, I guess, strip a lot of the land, cleaning up the fire and debris and trees that went down at that time. So what you're seeing is that happened many, many years ago. Okay. I'm not sure if anyone knows when the fire was, but so the former building burnt, was stripped off the land. And I think that's what they're referring to. As well, there's been a lot of development there in terms of building the new building that's currently there, and the boathouse and the path down and the road access in. So I think that's the nature of what they meant. But the trees that are flagged are coming down. They are inside the footprint of the existing building. The nice thing about this is that everything between the house and 100 feet to the water is not. So.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thanks I thank you for the clarification. I am concerned about losing 10 or 15 big, healthy, beautiful trees. So.
Any other comments or questions from board members? Ken?
No, I think like I like the fact that they did consult with the neighbor and did come up with some compromise. They have eliminated that side yard, so I think it's nice when the client and the neighbors can work like that. So that's always good to see. I mean, as far as the trees go, I mean, that's not uncommon along Birch Tree Road. I mean, I've seen many developments do that. And if it's in the footprint of the house, well, then it's kind of logical. They obviously got to come down. So I think there's still quite a bit of trees left on that property. So I'm not quite as concerned about that. And like I said, it's happened a lot along that road. So it's not uncommon for sure.
Now, this is an open public meeting. Is there anyone else on the call here that wishes to express support for the application? Go ahead, Mr. Lord. You're muted. Need you to unmute.
Okay.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you, Chair Moore. I just want to repeat what's been said. We have had very constructive discussions with the overalls and the Kawartha team. We're very grateful for the removal of the side yard variance. We fully support the application and the conditions that have been referenced, and really beyond that, we can't add anything further. It's been a useful exercise, albeit at some distance. I'm not exactly with you. I'm in California and it's quite early here, but it's good to see you all looking healthy and well, and we thank the neighbors for their cooperation and everything that's happened in the last few days.
Okay. We won't ask you, Mr. Lord, how you got out of the country.
It's the question of getting back in, sir.
Correct. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone would like to express any further support for the application? I think everyone else on the call is from your organization, Scott.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? It looks like we're ready for a motion. Ken, go ahead.
I would move that we accept the, I guess we're calling it the amended application, removing the side yard, and I would move the approval on that with the noted, with all the conditions noted that comes with the approval.
Okay, thank you. And is there a seconder for that motion? Is there a seconder for the motion? Wendy? And any further comments or questions? All in favor?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, just,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see me.
Yeah.
I just would like clarification from Mr. Jackman if he's also including the 4 tests in his motion.
Yes, like I said it, yes, I do. Meets the 4 tests.
Okay, thank you.
And taking in, I don't know if it's this or the separate bylaw, but considering the correspondence from First Nations, from the neighbor, Mr. Lord, I guess Orca had some comments there too. I guess they need a planning schedule afterwards and stuff like that. So taking all that into consideration.
Okay, and Wendy seconded that. All in favor of that motion? Those opposed? It's carried. Now the second motion for the receipt of the later information. Ken, will you go ahead, Ken?
Yes, I move a motion to accept and acknowledge the correspondence from First Nations, Autonomy Region Conservation, and the consultation or input from the neighbor, Mr. Lord.
Okay. Seconder for that? Jim? Okay. Any further comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Seeing none opposed. Okay, that completes that application. There's a 20-day appeal process. The overalls, you will receive written advice of this decision, and good luck with your project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Okay, getting back to the agenda, our next meeting is April the 23rd at 9 o'clock. I assume there are agenda items probably already, Martina?
That is correct. I believe we have at least 1 application.
Okay. And I wonder, before we adjourn this portion of the meeting, if we would consider maybe sending a thank you letter to Ed Reed for his contribution on the committee. If members would ask, maybe if it passes, then maybe Martina would send that for us, please. Is there somebody who would like to move that? Ken and Jim? And just a note of thanks for his contribution to both the Committee of Adjustment and Committee of Planning. So all in favor of that motion? Okay, opposed, seeing none, carried. Okay, so I guess we had moved to adjourn for about 10 minutes or 9 minutes, and we'll have to start again at 9:30. Now we'll have to go through the whole routine again about introduction, because there will be a number of new people on the call. So, and thanks very much, and enjoy your California there, Mr. Lord.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thanks, everybody.
thank you. We'll see you.
Thanks,
I guess
Scott.
we can just unmute or mute or call and stop the video for 9 minutes. Is that okay, Martina?
Yeah, that is the preferred method.
Sure. Okay, time to get a coffee.
So everyone knows, we'll begin in a moment. Mr. Chair, whenever you're ready, you can start the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We're gathered together for the Planning Committee meeting for today, March the 26th. Welcome, everyone. Because we're on a Zoom call, I'll just go through the routine here to make everyone familiar with the procedural bylaw and so on. I welcome everyone. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that the meeting is being recorded and is live streamed on the Township YouTube website. We'll be holding the meeting as though we're the council chambers, and we'll follow all the regular policies and procedures. Please raise your hand if you'd like to speak on a matter, and I'll call on you. When I call for the vote, I'll call for all those in favor, followed by all those opposed. And you will raise your hand as you see fit to vote. We'll also ask that if you're not involved with the conversation, I would ask that you mute your mic. Just saves any interference that might occur at your place. I'd now like to call the roll. Please raise your hand and state the presence, and it'll give the other parties on the line the opportunity to know who are the members of this committee. Member Wendy Dunford.
Here.
Okay, Ken Jackman,
Here.
Jim Patterson,
Present.
and and myself, Carl Moher, Chair and Deputy Mayor of Douro-Dummer. We also have with you is Martina Chait Hardwick. She's a clerk and planning coordinator, and Nicole Zinner, who will be helping with some of the technical responsibilities. So throughout the meeting, applicants and their agents will be joining us on the meeting and will be available to hear by audio. The coordinator will let us know who are in the meeting for each of the applications. With all the committee in attendance, I call the meeting to order. One member has resigned from the committee, Ed Reed. The township will be in the process of appointing a new member in the near future and hopefully in place by the next meeting, the end of April. So we've got a fairly lengthy agenda this morning. First of all, the disclosure of pecuniary interest. Is there anyone here that has any interest in any of the parties here? Okay, seeing none. Approval of the minutes from February 26th. If Wendy would like to move those, second those is Jim. Any comments or questions on those? All in favor of those minutes? Carried. Okay, severance application. The first application is B 7320 and 7420. It's for 496 Fourth Line, and it's Everett and Pauline Moore. If Martina, you could take us through that application, please.
Absolutely. Mr. Moore is on the line with us as well. I'll just let you know.
Okay.
So as you stated, this application is for two severances to create two residential lots on 496 Fourth Line Road, South Dummer in the Dummer Ward. The official plan designation on severed lot A, severed lot B, and the retained lot are all rural. Residential uses are permitted in the rural designation, provided that fragmentation of farmlands and conflict with adjacent farm operations are not created. A maximum of 2 consents to create lots may be permitted from a property within the rural designation, as it has existed 25 years prior to the date of application. There have been no previous severances within the past 25 years. The zoning on severed lot A is rural, severed lot B is also rural, and the retained lot is rural and environmental conservation, provincially significant wetland. The proposed severed lots will both meet the area and frontage requirements for residential use within the rural zone, section 9.2.4. The retained lot will meet the area and frontage requirements for an agricultural use in the rural zone, section 9.2.4, and therefore no rezonings are required. The proposed lots are located within 120 meters of key natural heritage and hydrological features, including wetlands, streams, and possible species at risk. An environmental impact study was completed by GHD and submitted with this application to address the provincial policy statement and the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. This study was reviewed by ORCA, and their comments dated February 17th, 2021 are attached to your application. A safe entrance is possible. Staff are requesting a 3-meter strip of frontage be deeded to the township. A report from the manager of public works was attached to your package. The chief building official reports that there is no obvious restrictions to development on this lot, and he has also included a report. A copy of the county's preliminary severance review is attached. Discussions with the County of Peterborough and Autonomy Conservation have resolved the issues with the application as summarized. The environmental impact study completed by GHD demonstrates that there will be no development within 100 meters of the wetlands. In order to comply with provincial policy, both the PPS and the Growth Plan and the Endangered Species Act, the applicant will need to follow sections 5.2.4, 6.1.2, 7.1, 7.2, and 7.3 in their environmental impact study before commencement of any work. Following ORCA's review of this application, it has been determined that the proposed lots will not be located within a floodplain, and ORCA permits will be required for any building. Test holes for septic systems have already been completed, and the results were satisfactory. All department managers have been circulated for comment on this application, and none were received. The recommendation to the committee is that it be recommended to council that severance applications B7320 and B7420 for Everett and Pauline Moore be approved, and if approved by the Peterborough County Land Division Committee, that the following conditions be imposed. A $1,250 cash in lieu of parkland fee be paid to the municipality for each lot created. That a 3-meter strip of frontage from both of the lots to be created be deeded to the township for road widening purposes. That safe entrances be approved by the manager of public works for each lot. And that a mitigation measures agreement be entered into between the owner and the municipality and registered on title at the owner's expense, which would recognize the recommendations, including section 5.2.4, 6.1.2, and 7.1, 7.2, and 7.3 of the environmental impact study completed by GHD.
Thank you, Martina. Mr. Moore, is there any further comments, or is there any questions regarding the conditions there that you're not familiar with? I think you're muted. There you go.
There we go. No, a little bit confusing, but it all sounds correct.
Okay. Any committee members have any questions or comments? Okay, is there a member who would like to? Martina, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm just wondering if there's anything I can clarify for Mr. Moore in the report.
What was the allowance? Like, you went through the allowances pretty quick. Is there another study that has to be done?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I know, Mr. Moore, there's no additional studies. You've already completed all the studies.
Oh, okay.
We are asking that as part of your severance application, that you provide us a 3-meter, which is about 10 feet, strip of land from the front of both of the lots, so that if we need to improve the roadway, we've got that land available for any improvements.
Okay, that would be done by the surveyors, and correct?
Exactly, that's right.
Oh, yep.
And then the mitigation measures agreement, which I mentioned, that was the last item. That is an agreement that your lawyer will draw up for you, and they send it to the township. And that is so the recommendations from your environmental study get registered on title. So any future owner knows exactly what the rules and regulations on your lot is regarding any future building and development.
That clarifies that.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And then the parkland fee, that was on each lot, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All righty. That makes now. Thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Moore, the 3-meter strip of frontage is quite common in severances. So doesn't happen in every case, but almost every case. So
that might, like, the surveyors will take do that all for me, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right.
Okay, is there a member that would like to move forward with moving that this be recommended to council for approval? Jim, go ahead. You're muted.
Yes, through Mr. Chair, I would move that this application be forwarded to council for their work and moving on.
Okay, and Wendy will second that. Any questions or comments further? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Carried. Mr. Moore, we are one of many agencies that comment on this application, and this step this recommendation will be forwarded on to Township Council at a near future meeting, and council will forward there, assuming they will approve it, which I think that they would, but usually they follow the direction of the committee, and forward it on to Land Division at the county, who are the approving authority for this type of application. So good luck with it, and it looks like you're well on your way with the various studies completed.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next application is an application for Bonnie Ayat and Alan Vellier. It's 1390 fourth line, not too far from this application we just looked after. So Martina, can you take us through? It looks like Ms. Woods, are you the agent for this?
Yes, this is my husband, Scott. We're actually I'm Bonnie's daughter.
Okay.
So the land is, we're looking for it to build on it and come out and be closer to the family and help with the horses. So.
Good. Okay, Martina, can you go ahead, please?
Absolutely. So this is B9020. It's for the creation of one residential lot. Both the official plan designation of the severed and retained lot is rural. Residential uses are permitted in the rural designation, provided fragmentation of farmlands and conflict with adjacent farm operations are not created. A maximum of 2 consents to create new lots may be permitted from a property within the rural designation, so long as it existed 25 years prior to the date of application. There have been no severances to these lands within the past 25 years. The zoning on both the severed and retained lot is rural. The severed lot will meet the area and frontage requirements for residential use within the rural zone, section 9.2.4. The retained lot will meet the frontage requirements, but not the area requirements for an agricultural use in the rural zone, section 9.2.1. Therefore, it would need to be rezoned if it was going to be an agricultural use. In speaking to the applicant and their agent, we've discussed the actual use of this land, and it's not an agricultural use, it's a hobby farm because there's horses kept there, and there's a little bit of hay cut, but the land will not support a full agricultural operation, and so it can be deemed a hobby farm, and therefore it will meet the area and frontage requirements of that rural zone designation. The proposed lot is located within 120 meters of the key heritage and hydrological features, and therefore a natural heritage evaluation study was completed by Cambium Inc. and submitted with this application to address the provincial policy statement and the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. The Autonomy Region Conservation Authority completed their review and submitted comments which are attached in a letter dated February 12th, 2021. A safe entrance is possible and a culvert will be required. Staff are also requesting a 3-meter strip of frontage to be deeded to the township for road widening purposes. A copy of the Manager of Public Works report is attached to this package. The chief building official states that there are no obvious restrictions to development, and his report is attached as well. A copy of the county's preliminary severance review is attached. There was discussion with Autonomy Conservation and the County of Peterborough planning staff, and that has resolved most of the issues that were previously outlined in the preliminary review. In order to comply with the provincial policy statement, both the PPS and the growth plan, and address any impacts on key hydrological features and natural heritage features, Orca made the recommendation for the applicants to adhere to the summary of recommendations, which can be found on pages 8 and 9 of the Natural Heritage Evaluation prepared by Cambium Inc., dated December 2020. Following Orca's review of this application, it's been determined that the lot will not be located within a floodplain and an Orca permit will not be required. Test holes for septic systems have already been completed and the results were satisfactory, and all department managers have been circulated for comment on this application. It's recommended to the committee that they recommend to council that severance application B9020 for Bonnie and Allen be approved, and if approved by the Peterborough County Land Division Committee, that the following conditions be imposed: that a $1,250 cash and load parkland fee be paid to the municipality, that a rezoning of the retained lot, I'm going to skip that one because we've already determined that it's not required, that a 3-meter strip of frontage from the severed parcel be deeded to the township for road winding purposes, and that a safe entrance be approved by the manager of public works. Just 3 conditions on this one.
Okay. Thank you, Martina. Ms. Woods, is there any comments that you'd like to make further?
I think just having already spoke with Martina, just verifying, yes, the land has been used as a hobby farm for a long time as part of my family, and just supporting that too. Probably it's really less than half the land. A good portion of that land is also treed, so it makes it even harder for it to be agricultural.
Okay. Other members of the committee, answer comments, questions? Ken?
No question. I'd actually move that.
Just before you do that, I have a comment I'd like to add, or a couple of comments I'd like to add. As a planning committee, we have the obligation to ensure all key policy fields of the provincial policy statement are upheld. Those being wetlands, aggregate, transportation, housing, and agriculture. And sometimes agriculture gets lost in the process. And I guess my recommendation is that based on the location of it in the middle of the field, I would recommend that we move it further, the proposal further south, and make it in the shape of a parallelogram shape, south lot boundary along the hedgerow on the rugged triangular area in the southeast corner of the property. The triangular shaped area to remain with the retained portion. This lot would still be outside the MDS arcs that both the retained barn and the neighbor's barn. It would be more efficient use of the retained portion for agriculture. I know it's a hobby farm, but farming produced food can be quite small these days, and it is on the planning maps of the province. It shows the map as a candidate for agricultural area. So I guess I would be concerned in that area. I guess one of the things would be if it was up against the, on an angle there on the triangular section on the south, it would be easier to maneuver for machinery around 2 sides of the lot versus the proposed 3 sides for tilling or no-till machinery. Proposed move would provide for more room for placement of septic and well and so on, because sometimes well can't be placed where you wish it to be placed because you have to go by where the potable water is available. Proposed move would also discourage infilling in the future lots down the road. The retained portion 20 years, 30 years down the road could be in another, maybe a non-family, and their first, after they've held the property for a couple of years, or 5 years, I think is the minimum, they might decide they want to put a lot on both sides of your lot, both south side and the north side. And I guess I would imagine that would be concerning to you, whereas the suppressive change of moving the lot south, more south, would at least protect the one side, because the one side is a very rugged knoll that chances are no one could build on there. So you would have still the risk of somebody building on the north side of you. So I guess verifying that could be moved, Ontario Autonomy Conservation have no objection to having the lot moved to along the hedgerow at the south. And I guess that was verified with Jennifer Kleinberg, supervisor of the OC representative that did the work with your lot. Does any of that make sense to you, Ms. Woods?
Now,
I think we have some questions.
Yeah, when you say the south corner, you're saying away from the house, correct?
Yes,
Away from the retained lot.
yes, it would be right up against that triangular section that's quite rugged down in the southeast corner of the property.
Yes, but so when we looked at this previously to where that lot would be severed, did a lot of research, and we were actually trying to stay away from that corner, just being that would be a downslope towards those unevaluated wetlands. Along with, and then actually we felt good about that after we received the Cambium environmental impact study, because on page 6 of the study, it actually identifies that area that we should be located 15 meters from that top bank to avoid further erosion. And ORCA was consulted with that, again, to keep 15 meters from that top bank.
I believe there's reference in that ORCA report to 30 meters, but talking to ORCA about this, or they have apparently no concern whatsoever regarding it. Thanks for sharing that, Martina. It'd be right along that edge, like having a parallelogram shaped lot along there.
So through you, Mr. Chair, just to kind of provide everyone a bit more context, do you mean the lot would the frontage would be here and then it would run like this on an angle?
That's correct. A parallelogram, and the triangle would still, in the corner there, would still remain part of the retained.
So through you, Mr. Chair, if we were to put the lot lines like this, as you've stated, this triangle would actually end up becoming another lot. So we would inadvertently cause 2 severances.
As long as you don't go to the boundary, it would remain. With the retained.
That is true. I'm just going to put another layer on because there's a comment about the agricultural layer. I'm just going to bring that up so everyone can see that as well. I'm just going to change some settings here. So just give me 1 second.
I guess I guess one of the things, having sat on planning committees for many, many years, this location of this lot appears to be contrary to many recommendations that we've made in the past. And I guess that's my concern for future development of that field, as whether it be a hobby farm could be used for producing food or whatever. And I guess large machinery going around corners is not that efficient for operation, and a future owner of the retained might be not too supportive of the location of this decision.
So through you, Mr. Chair, I've just put on the agricultural layer. This is the property in question. It's not part of the agricultural layer that's been put on by the province. This area to the south is a candidate area for agriculture, but it's not prime agricultural either.
No, I agree with you. We have very little. In fact, I think currently in Douro-Dummer, we have no prime agricultural. Everything is rural.
Yeah, from a official plan perspective, that's correct. We do have prime agricultural from a provincial perspective in the Douro zone.
In the future official plan.
Yeah.
Well, I guess those are my thoughts, and I don't know whether other members of the committee, or I guess the Woods. I guess what are your thoughts?
And
just
we
going to
completely
minimize-
actually understand your comments of the equipment. That completely makes sense. You know, there's not much I can argue to that, except that this between the severed lot and the retained lot, meaning between the residents on the retained lot and what we're showing as severed, is so small of an area that you wouldn't probably put equipment in that area regardless, if that ever turned to future agriculture. On the other side, there would be still room for equipment, but even, you know, this space would be so minimal on the retained lot that I could never picture you wouldn't even lose an acre of agricultural.
What is the size of the proposed lot? Is it
1.16 acres.
1.16? Okay, so it's just over the acre.
Yeah, and out of the 49 point, I think it's 6 remaining, about half of that's trees.
The lot could be up to 1 hectare, which is a little over two acres. But that would be between you and your parents, Mrs. Wood.
Yeah, we're looking to keep it to the size it is, trying to maintain the pasture as well. So
For the horses.
yeah. I guess I have a question too about, we've already had approval that there could be a safe driveway where that lot is. Moving it down, it starts to get really into that very steep section of the hill that comes up. So I'm not sure what the impact would be to being able to have a safe entryway.
I can't comment on the entrance. I would just, having visited it, I think there would be a location there, but I know whether other members of the committee were out to view it or not. Are there any further thoughts from the committee? Jim?
Yes, Carl, or Mr. Chair, I really welcome your input and your thoughtful input. And I'm wondering if I think this should go offline and between staff and the applicant. Let's take another look at the maps and such, and bring this forward at a future meeting. I think we're in, you know, I think I have unanswered questions at this point.
Mr. Wood, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, no, I'm just concerned. I understand Orca's is okay with this, but it's from a environmental side. It's actually opposite of what the environmental impact study is saying, and that's what confuses me.
Ken, go ahead.
And that's part of when we went to the preliminary study report. That was also an area that was supported.
Well, I guess we're near the back end of it, having not, perhaps this could have been altered in, quite often many applicants have a preliminary review done at the township before they go the official application, which was not done in this case. However, we're all reasonable people here. We just want to make sure for future generations, we're not creating a problem for future property owners or even yourselves in privacy. I guess you've got to toy with some of the points I made during that. The future owner of the retained could, in 25 years, put 2 lots, one on each side of you. So
yeah,
Yeah, no,
I guess, does that concern you or?
No, because a lot will, we suspect a lot will stay in the family. It's been part of my wife's family for over 100 years currently, and the plan is it's currently going to stay that way. Of course, that's never a guarantee, and I understand that. But where the lot currently is, what you're talking about, there's up that road, which is Pard.
Yeah, it's a facility where they do, they have people, kids with disabilities, and they do riding lessons and training and boarding. So that driveway is actually really busy on that side. So when it comes to privacy, there'll actually be less privacy on that side of the lot due to the activities that take place at that facility. Yeah, so I mean, I appreciate the concerns and really wanting to make sure this going through. I feel, unfortunately, I wish we'd known about the working with the township for a preliminary. We went through Peterborough County, and that actually wasn't brought up to us. So,
Okay, Ken, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm at on this. Like, I guess everything has gone through to this point, and everybody's been satisfied. And again, through you, Mr. Chair, and with all due respect, I just didn't know, is it our role to start changing the configuration of lots? That's the question I have. And if the clients have looked at all this and that's sort of the lot configuration they desire, and it meets ORCA, and it meets, I guess, even the EIS that's been done from Cambian. I mean, it's all been done based on those locations. I mean, I was prepared to approve the recommendation in the report to take this to council. So I don't know. I guess I'm a bit confused on our role here.
We're open for, I guess we could handle it in various fashion. We could have a motion to recommend it to council now. Bearing in mind, there are 4 of us and if 2 vote is a lost, and might it, it could be, maybe we, and I don't know what Wendy's discussion or what your thoughts are on Wendy. However, the Woods, do you want some time to think about it we are meeting again in April, the end of April, or do you want to get going now?
Understanding that's a roll of the dice. We have spent 12 months, I'll reiterate, 12 months looking at that location, ensuring that we kept away from those unevaluated wetlands, kept away from any health concerns with the MDS sheets. As far as an environmental side of things, it's, I hate to say, it's clear to me as far as an environmental side, that is the best location. Would you continue? Yeah.
So sorry, I guess I could make it clear. So if you go to vote right now, we could go, you guys could say no, and we'd have to appeal this is sort of the next step that would have to happen, or?
No, we're only one committee. So why don't we get a resolution on the floor? Ken, if you are prepared to move forward, go ahead.
Well, like I said, I'm confused in the whole thing now. I mean, I am, well, like I said, I was prepared to move to approve the application with the noted conditions that, with all the noted conditions, taking in all the factor, like the summary of recommendations laid out. I think there's about 7 points in that from Cambian. And then with all the other conditions, I would move to approve that.
Okay. That's a motion to move forward. Is there a seconder for that motion? Is there a seconder for that motion? Okay. I guess there's not a motion on the floor. Can we have an alternate motion to, I guess, defer it till the April meeting for more information? Jim? Wendy, are you going to second that? Okay. And all in favor? Okay. Okay, it's carried. We'll be delaying that until the April meeting, if that's okay, unless you wish it delayed even further. I wonder if it'd be a thought to maybe meet on the site, Mr. and Mrs. Woods.
Yeah, because I don't think I'm clear on what we need to do before the April meeting at this point.
Okay. Martina?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I wouldn't advise meeting as a group on the site because that would construe a meeting and it would not fall in our transparency model that we have here.
My intention was that perhaps myself would meet because of the points I raised.
Perhaps we can have staff at that meeting as well then.
Yes. Would there be a time during the week, Mr. and Mrs. Woods, that we could meet? Or maybe you could talk to Martina and we could find a time that we could all meet?
Yeah, we'll have to arrange time to be off work to come and do that, so.
Would that, well, that's too bad to be off work. Is there a day that's coming up that might work better?
Weekends are easy, but I think it's not usually it won't work for the township. So
Next Thursday?
yeah, actually we're scheduled to be off on April 1st, if that works.
Just a moment here. April 1st would work for me. Maybe Martina, you and Mrs. Woods can talk about a time.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Just a question for you, if you don't mind. I'm not sure if this is the forum to ask it. If that was to be moved, would we have to go through the process of notifying neighbors and all of that again?
I don't believe so. Martina, can you help me with that?
Sure. So no, we would not have to notify neighbors again, but we would have to dig new septic test holes and have all of our staff revisit the site. And I think if we were to do a site visit on the 1st, I would, I'll speak to Amy offline about orchestrating all of that, but I'd also want her Cambium staff to be there as well to speak to us.
And if that location because it's a busy road.
No, no intention was to move the site the entrance off the road. It'd be the same location, general area for entrance.
No, I know, but the house would face that busy road.
The driveway up to the other facility, that's what.
Yeah. So if we decided that lot wasn't the location, could we put forward again, understanding that we could visit this same lot? Or
as far as I'm concerned, yes. But other members, I think Jim agrees. And Ken was going to move it, so I think we can. It's unfortunate that we received the agenda last Monday of this. Certainly a preliminary review months ago could have headed off many options here. But I guess that's the best bet. We've moved to defer it till the April meeting. And Martina and Mrs. Woods will go out, talk about general time offline, if that's okay, for April 1st.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks for your time. Sorry we could not proceed today.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else we should do in that, Martina, before we leave it?
No, I'll just make one comment. The committee is able to make minor lot line adjustments, but major lot line adjustments, I'll have to speak to the county about what's available to us in that capacity.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item we have is,
Mr. Chair, did we vote on the deferment?
okay, maybe not. All in
Martina.
favor of the deferment?
Yeah, I had a vote, but we can re-vote too. That's fine.
Okay.
Go ahead, Wendy. You're muted, Wendy.
There we go. Sorry, I couldn't get myself unmuted there. I just have a quick question in regards to this one. It said that an ORCA permit will not be required because it wasn't located in a floodplain.
Yep.
And yet on the Moore application that we just approved, it said it will be required, even though that one also was not located in a floodplain. Can someone just clarify for me when an ORCA permit is required?
Go ahead, Martina.
Through you, the floodplain is not the factor that makes an ORCA permit viable or not. I'm going to share my GIS image because I think a visual would be more helpful. So just one moment.
So I'm just confused because it's in the same paragraph. It looks like it's related, but it's not. That's what you're saying?
It's not related. Just one moment.
So I just wanted to be clear that the Moores did require one.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
So I'm just going to change the layers I have on here because there's a lot of colors happening.
It's fine. I understand what you're saying.
No, I can show you exactly how it's determined. So I figured that's good education for everyone on the call. So in our GIS layer, I'm sure everyone has used GIS at some point. There's this Conservation Authority button. You hit that, and then the ORCA development control areas appear on the map, and those are the areas that require permits. So you can see these are some wetlands. So if you were to build in this area, just like a straight building permit, like not a Planning Act application, just a straight building permit, you would need additional permits in this area and probably studies from ORCA. You can see that the area on the lot across the street, which is the one that the Woods are speaking to, there's none of that type of hatched area, and that's why a permit is not required.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay, next application is 1521, and it is Michael O'Brien. Martina, can you take us through that on whether there's any representatives of the client online?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it doesn't appear that Michael is attending. So this is severance application B1521. The property is located at 705 Cooney Island Road in the Douro ward. Roll number is 010-002-14000. The purpose of the application is the creation of a new lot. The official plan designation on both the severed and retained is rural. Residential uses are permitted in the rural designation, provided fragmentation of farmlands and conflict with adjacent farm operations are not created. A maximum of 2 consents to create new lots may be permitted from a property within the rural designation that has existed for 25 years prior to the date of application. There's been 1 severance within the past 25 years, so the property is eligible for 1 more. The zoning on the severed parcel is rural, and the zoning on the retained parcel is rural. The severed lot will meet the area requirements of a residential zone, a residential use within the rural zone, but at 40 meters, it will not have enough frontage along a municipally maintained road via section 9.2.4. This issue could be rectified by either increasing the amount of frontage by 5 meters or applying for a rezoning application. The retained lot will meet the area and frontage requirements for an agricultural use in the rural zone, section 9.2.1. The application appears to be in conformity with both the growth plan and the provincial policy statement. Preliminary severance review was not completed. The applicant was asked to complete a preliminary severance review, but they chose not to go through that process. Therefore, county planning staff are reviewing the application for consent closely, as they haven't had a chance to look at any of the issues, basically. Traditionally, the preliminary severance review is the tool that's used to go through the planning matrix to see what items need to be flagged. In this case, we don't have that. So they will be preparing their reports to land division with that in mind, and there may be additional studies required for Mr. O'Brien pending that outcome. A safe entrance is possible and a culvert is required. Staff are requesting a 3-meter strip of frontage be deeded to the township. The location of the entrance should be moved closer to the corner for safe sightlines, and the manager of public works report is attached. The report from the chief building official states the lot may be wet, hard to determine, but adjacent elevation to the creek wetland is similar to the lot elevation. Location of the dwelling and well should be flipped, and a copy of the chief building official's report is attached. All managers have been circulated for comment on this application, and a map of the property has been attached to this report for you. Staff are recommending to the committee that the committee defer a decision on this application until such time that the chief building official can visit the site to verify how wet the site may be, provide recommendations on the building methods of any future structures, and further to this, that the site visit take place between April 1st and May 31st of 2021.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the committee? Wendy?
I'm just wondering why this is coming to us if staff are recommending that we defer it. Why is it even on the agenda?
Go ahead, Martina.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do not have a choice in that we have to bring it forward to you because it's going to land division and there's a certain timeline that we have to present this to you in. And so we need direction from the committee we can't defer as staff. We need that direction from you so that we can take these steps necessary to visit the site.
Thank you.
Any other comments? There's one comment or question, I guess, first. The roads director, Mr. Condon, recommended moving the entrance somewhat. On the drawing, does it move the lot north or south from the drawing that was provided by the applicant?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe it would move it slightly south.
Okay. We have other roads in our township, and I'm thinking of Strickland Street in just in the north end of Douro Ward, where a similar house at the end of a curve, and they end up with cars in their driveway or in front of their house on a regular basis because they don't recognize the curve or driving too fast in winter conditions and so on. And I think Mr. Condon, the people in Strickland ended up putting a berm and a bunch of rocks in just to stop vehicles from entering their property. And it almost looks like we could be creating another such similar situation here. So I wonder if it would be a thought to have Mr. Condon relook at that again to see if we're not creating a further problem for down the road as well on this Cooney Island Road for people coming down and going east on it and not recognizing the curve there. And I know on Strickland Street, there's all kinds of checkerboard signs and warnings and even a speed reduction, but still people ended up in their driveway and there's quite a history there. And I'm sure Jake will be familiar with it because he's been involved with a few of the remedial issues trying to get it resolved.
Yeah, so I can have him visit the site along with this CBO if that's the committee's wish.
Okay, a motion then to defer it till the future meeting. Wendy?
No, sorry.
Go ahead, Martina.
So through you, Mr. Chair, I would like the recommendation to be exactly as it was read out, with the inclusion of the manager of public works attend the site visit as well.
Okay. Okay, who'd like to make that motion? Jim?
I just did.
Okay, good. And Wendy? Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay. Okay, thanks very much. And I think we're all set here. Mr. Soul, you've been very patient. Go ahead, Martina. B1821, Jamie and Jennifer Soul, 1075 County Road 40. This appears to be a technical housekeeping issue that, but you can take us through it, please.
Yep. So that is correct. This is a technical severance. It's a correction of title. Both the severed and retained lots are both in the rural designation. Section 2.6.3.1 states that existing lots that inadvertently merge due to common ownership may be separated to reflect the original lot configuration, provided the subject property is still in the same ownership as when such merging occurred, and it is permissible in the local official plans. The applicant has provided legal documentation with the application that supports the merger of these two properties in 2018 into a common ownership, and it is allowable to return back to the original lot configuration, meeting the inadvertent policy of the official plan, section 2.6.3.1. There's no previous severances. The zoning on the severed will be rural. The retained lot will be Special District 30 in Environmental Protection Zone. Both of the proposed lots post-merger will meet all of the area and frontage requirements of both of the zones. Both the provincial policy statement and the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe apply to this proposal. Key hydrologic and natural features have been identified on adjacent to the subject property. Although the severed parcel is located within 120 meters of these features, the proposal is for a lot line adjustment and no new lot is being created. Therefore, a natural heritage evaluation and or a hydraulic evaluation is not required. The minimum distance formula MDS1 as per policy 1.1.5.8 of the 2020 provincial policy statement has not been calculated since there is no new development or lot creation proposed. The entrances already exist and one is off the county road. The CBO says there is no issues to address. A copy of the county's preliminary review is attached and all department managers have been circulated for comment. And the recommendation from staff to the committee is that the committee recommend to council that the severance application for Jamie and Jennifer Soul be approved with no conditions.
Any comments from you, Mr. Soul?
Thing that she didn't cover. No, that all sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, committee members, any comments, questions? Okay, ready for a motion? Okay, Jim, is that your motion?
Sure.
Okay, seconded by Ken with the recommendation as stated in the report.
That's correct.
Okay, and all in favor? Okay, those opposed? Okay, it's carried. Okay, you'll receive written confirmation of that, Mr. Soul. And recommendation will go to council and start the process to be completed.
Very much.
Okay. Okay, I think that pretty well concludes our agenda today, committee. Is there anything else, Wendy?
Can we just follow up on a resolution from last meeting, which was the request to have a meeting with Orca and the county?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, that's in process. Both the county and Orca and the township are under quite a bit of strain right now because of the volume of planning that has been placed upon us. So we're trying to find a time that works for everyone and allows them to be able to have the time to prepare an adequate presentation. It also needs to go to council as well. council's on board with the concept, but I need to find times that work for all of the parties. So it's a bit of an orchestration to get done.
But I think it needs to be done. It's,
Yeah, we're on board. It just has to get organized. So
well, thank you, Martina, that update.
Thank
Anything
you.
else? Okay, Jim?
Yes, just before we adjourn, I want to thank Martina and staff, especially Nicole, for coordinating our attendance at the AMO meeting yesterday. Nicole went overboard trying to ensure that I actually was registered, and everyone thought I was, but I wasn't, and back and forth and back and forth. Anyway, it ended up being a good meeting, and I want to thank Nicole publicly for that help.
Thank you. Okay, okay, motion to adjourn. Ken and Jim, and all in favor? And seeing carried. So have a good weekend, folks, and we'll see you soon. Stay safe.